my name is Palma Accardi, and you are watching Tidal Flooding Talk. We're here live at the Irish Pub in Atlantic City, and we're brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition.
And I guess you're stuck with me as a guest tonight since there's no one in between us. I'm Meteorologist Dan Skeldon. Thanks for joining us. Our scheduled guest had a last-minute emergency, and it's not in his line of work. It's actually bona fide. It's Atlantic City Fire Chief Scott Evans, who we were looking forward to having here. Hopefully we'll have him, maybe next week or at least in soon-to-be aired edition of Tidal Flooding Talk. So, what we're going to do tonight is Palm and I are going to take your questions, talk a little bit about what's ahead weather-wise, kind of reflect back at what's been a quiet winter, right? I mean,
yeah, we're lucky, I think.
Yeah,
knock on wood, the table's here.
Right,
so.
And it's late February, and March has had some doozies.
Yeah, last year, March.
We did. We had a couple of bad storms. We had St. Patty's Day snowstorms back in 2014. We've had some big March nor'easters. So I don't want to say we're out of the woods yet, but we've been lucky. We haven't had a big nor'easter really since I think October. And we haven't had a big winter storm this year. We've had lots of little ones. Like, what's the most you've had to shovel this year?
I didn't shovel at all.
Oh, there you go. You're the envy of everyone in South Jersey.
So,
what's the most you've had to dust off your car then, let's say?
I think it was at least 2 inches off of my car, and it was that day that it wasn't really expected to be.
I think
anything.
that was a Friday.
I think I used like a notebook I had in my car because I didn't have the scraper.
Okay. Do you have one now?
Yeah, I do.
And you have your tidal flooding awareness kit too, right? Okay. So we're going to take your questions and talk a little bit about, we had our 1-year anniversary show last week, and over the past year on Tidal Flooding Talk, over 200,000 views, which we think is great, and that includes a multitude, dozens of guests that we've had, and we have some great guests lined up throughout the upcoming year as well. We always invite you guys to come down to the Irish Pub. A few of you have taken us up on that offer. Can't offer you free food and drinks, but we can offer you good conversation and good people to enjoy food and drink with. So Irish Pub in Atlantic City, it's kind of the quiet time of year in AC.
Well, not
usually.
Really at the Irish Pub because St. Patty's Day is coming up, and that's their big day of the year. So
and
sure
Bag Day at the Irish Pub. Have you been to a Bag Day before?
I have not. Yeah,
that's a big day. Day after St. Patrick's Day, everyone comes in, wearing paper bags on their heads. So that's coming up as well. So looking ahead to the month of March, I think it's a quiet one weather-wise. I think if you're going to have a snowstorm in March, this March, it's going to be the first 10 days of the month, because I do think we flip to an early spring after that.
Yeah, that was according to Groundhog.
Groundhog
right?
said it way back in February. I'm saying it now. So Groundhog made the prediction February 2nd. I'm making the prediction February 24th. I think spring's early by about a week or two. So the middle of March, but before St. Patty's Day, we flip to a milder weather pattern. So if you're hoping for a snowstorm, if you're hoping for something this year, which we haven't had the big one, you got the first 10 days of March. And even then, I don't really see anything jumping out at us. But it's been a quiet winter for tidal flooding, right?
And if we're a week early on spring, I'll take it. A week is pretty good.
A week is good. Now, South Jersey springs aren't as good as South Jersey falls, because the ocean is warm in the fall. You still got beach weather in the fall. March and April, you get a wind off the 40-something degree ocean. It's not necessarily, great spring weather because the ocean is so cold. But we've had some lousy springs recently, so I think a lot of us would just like to have somewhat of a nice spring. 50-something and sunny, 60-something and sunny. So hopefully it's an early spring. Hopefully it's a nice spring. I'm a snow lover, but I do like I like the transitional season, spring and fall as well.
Yeah, fall is my absolute
Fall is your favorite?
season.
Best time of the year in South Jersey because the crowds are lighter and the weather's still beautiful. September, October, great times of year. Now, so we've made it through nor'easter season, or at least most of nor'easter season. Do you know, I'm going to put you on the spot, what is the latest bad nor'easter that we've had? You don't tell this exact day, but what month would you think?
How far back are we going? The entire
let's just go in your lifetime, let's say.
Okay.
All right. And this is a tough question that not everyone knows, but and it's occurred in my 15 years in South Jersey as well. Worst nor'easter late in the season.
Okay, I would have to say late April or Cinco de Mayo.
You're close. How about Mother's Day? See, about a week off. You said Cinco de Mayo. We had a really bad Mother's Day nor'easter back in 2007, 2008 with 60-something mile-an-hour winds and tidal flooding. May is very unusual for nor'easters. So usually if you can make it past March, you're good. Every once in a while you get one in April. May is extremely rare. But remember, once nor'easter season ends, what follows on June 1st is hurricane season. So you don't really get much of a break in South Jersey. But we haven't had any major tidal flooding this winter. We had a little bit, I think, back in that fall nor'easter in October, moderate to major. So it's been a quiet season for nor'easters. Now, while we don't have a nor'easter on the way, we do have some wind.
Yeah, Gloria Harris actually asked, are we still in a high wind warning?
We are. Now, that high wind warning began a few hours ago, and you're saying, wait a second. We walked in, it's not windy outside, right? It's still good hair weather, right?
Yeah.
For now.
Didn't need to brush my hair.
You did not, but you're going to need the hairspray and the hairbrush handy. And also, just secure the loose objects. Now, the wind is going to come from the west and northwest. That's not a tidal flooding wind direction. So that's good. It's going to blow offshore. It's going to usher in some colder air. And the winds are going to be strongest tonight and tomorrow. And what do we mean by strong? Probably 50 to 60 mile per hour gusts, which is enough to cause scattered power outages.
Okay, that was another question about power outages.
You can never predict where a power outage is going to occur, but you can know that 50 to 60 mile per hour winds can bring down a power line. All it takes is one tree branch falling on a power line, and you can have a neighborhood or half of a township out of power. So I wouldn't expect necessarily widespread, half of Atlantic County loses power, but there's going to be isolated power outages here and there. Also, the ground's a little wet because of the rain we got, and when the ground is wet like a sponge, little trees can come over quicker. It allows them to be uprooted quicker in those winds. So, be aware that 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts can be a little disruptive. And also when you're driving tomorrow and you're going over bridges, let's say you're going over the Parkway Bridge or the Mullica River Parkway Bridge, a mile marker 50 or mile marker 28, you're going to get those crosswinds and those high profile vehicles, tractor trailers and SUVs. You want to keep the two hands on the wheel. You should always keep the two hands on the wheel, but especially when it's really windy out.
When will it be windiest tomorrow morning?
I would say all day tomorrow you're fair game for the winds, but maybe the first half of the day might be a little windier than the second half, but and then tomorrow night the winds diminish. Good news is, once we get rid of this wind tonight, tomorrow, and tomorrow night is breezy but less windy, the rest of the week looking pretty quiet weather-wise. It could be a little light rain or snow late in the week, but we've been lucky. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't not prepare for nor'easters. And, when you have quiet winter, people sometimes let their guard down, and then you get a Mother's Day storm, or you get an Easter nor'easter. That rhymes. Easter nor'easter. Do you know when Easter is this year? I think it's mid-April. I think it's late this year. It could occur from March 24th to April 24th. I think it's at the end of that.
I think so too. Yeah. Hi again. Sorry, we just had a technical glitch, but we're back. If you are just tuning in, you're watching Tidal Flooding Talk, and we're here at the Irish Pub, and brought to you by the New Jersey Coastal Coalition.
And again, Palma Accardi along with Dan Skeldon. Our scheduled guest for tonight, Scott Evans, Atlantic City Fire Chief, hard-working public servant. He was on once last year, was a great guest. We look forward to having him back. Had an emergency, which fire chiefs sometimes do, so we'll have him back on a future episode of Tidal Flooding Talk. Normally we have a guest. We try to bring you a wide variety of guests, from public servants to people in the tidal flooding and the home raising and insurance fields. And if you have any suggestion for guests, if you want to be a guest and you have something to say about tidal flooding, you're a resident impacted, or you have views, contact us and reach out, private message or comment, and we'd love to have you, because we want to continue just this weekly, probably only of its kind in the country, show on flooding awareness and storm awareness in a coastal community.
Right, and last week we had Tom Heist on the show from the Flood Insurance Agency, And there will be some changes to flood insurance coming this April. So if you want to learn more about that, you can go back to our show from last week. Tom Heist had some great things to tell us about.
Yeah.
Very informative. He was on the show 3 times, and he also helped us practice for Tidal Flooding Talk, so he's a very knowledgeable guest, and he is also part of the New Jersey Coastal Coalition as well.
Absolutely. I mean, no one knows insurance better than Tom Heist. But a lot of great people in the field that we'd like to have on the show. What if Chief Evans just surprises you just in time? As he could.
Does he do that?
I don't know. I mean, if it's a brief emergency, maybe he'll pop in. But if not, we do hope to have him on in a future show. So
maybe he'll come here with sirens. Maybe we were the emergency.
We could. I guess I could post it to you guys in the Tidal Flooding Talk audience too. And I guess I'll post it to you. Is baby Skeldon going to be a boy or a girl? So I'll ask for your forecast instead of you asking me for my forecast.
Wow.
And everyone likes to venture their guesses. We had Amanda's baby shower last week,
I don't know. I think it's going to be a girl. I don't know what it is, but... with our feed right now.
You're on again. You're live.
Tidal freezing talk, Justin Thomas.
Yeah, despite the mild temperatures, I guess we've had a few network connections, which, we have a couple of Wi-Fi sources at the pub, and if the Wi-Fi is a little weak, I guess, it does freeze up. So thankfully we don't have a guest here. It's just us freezing up on you,
us.
Instead of being us in the middle of a great conversation with a guest. So apologize if it's Kristen Kaiser says a little blurry and it keeps freezing. The blurriness, I know, is just a function of the iPhone camera trying to focus. Normally the blurriness isn't a problem, and the freezing is a Wi-Fi connectivity issue. So once every couple of months we have a show with technical difficulties. So this is our show. We're getting it out of the way for the first show in the new season. This is season 2, right, of Tidal Flooding Talk?
This is season 2.
We kicked it off last week. That's right. 200,000 views over season 1. We'd love to double that, get 400,000 views for season 2. But we appreciate you guys being here. And during the freezing, I guess we were saying, your prediction is what for baby Skeldon?
I think baby Skeldon is going to be a girl.
You think it's going to be a girl?
That's what I'm going with. I'd love to hear what our viewers think.
And we are doing a surprise, so we're not finding out.
Kristen Kaiser says a girl.
Okay. We are not finding out. We were the only couple in our baby class that didn't find out.
Really?
So everyone knew, boy, girl, and I guess not a lot of people aren't finding out these days. But we're doing the gender neutral, like grays and mint greens and yellows. Yeah. So no blues, no pinks until we find out if it's a boy or a girl. So we're very excited about 3 weeks and 4 days away.
Another girl comment. People were thinking girl.
And I'm girl. My wife, we had an ultrasound, and they printed out one of those 3D pictures.
Okay.
And ever since she saw the 3D picture, she says boy.
Oh.
And I will say that it looks a little boyish, as much as you can tell from a 3D picture.
Now
I hope
it's
it's not a girl.
and
Right.
she's hearing about this.
Yeah, but we're really excited, and I'm gonna forecast that about the time that the baby Skeldon's born, that you may be doing a show by yourself, which you do wonderfully. And then we'll bring the baby perhaps on for a show in the future.
Yes.
He'll be the youngest Tidal Flooding Talk viewer out there.
That would be good. Now, I guess before we end the show, you want to give us like a brief recap for what you're expecting this week for the weather?
We're going to go this week, and we'll also go through March, because we made a long ranger forecast as well. We got the wind coming in tonight, tomorrow, so if it hasn't picked up at your house yet, it's coming. It's really windy in Ohio and into Pennsylvania, upstate New York. In fact, they got a unique problem on Lake Erie. So much ice is being blown across the lake that it's being piled up on the show.
For 24 hours or
I would say about 24 hours. Tonight, tomorrow. Tomorrow night is still going to be windy, and tomorrow night you're going to notice the cold as well. So the wind chills are going to drop. But thankfully, the wind will diminish Tuesday, Wednesday. It's from the west and northwest, so no tidal flooding concerns. And we're past the full moon as well. Did you see the big February full moon on, what was it, Tuesday? I believe. Tuesday night, I think it was full. And it was the February snow moon, which is the nickname of the February full moon. And it was the closest moon to Earth this year, so it was the biggest full moon as well. So we made it past the full moon cycle with no tidal flooding either.
I guess it's a good thing that we didn't have tidal flooding talk with the biggest full moon.
Right, and we didn't have a nor'easter with tidal flooding in the biggest full moon. Full moons and new moons, of course, always bring out the most significant tidal flooding. So, like I said, we've been pretty quiet this season. No big nor'easters for the winter. We had one in the fall, but no big winter nor'easters, no big winter storms. I don't see any on the way. Next bigger storm, unfortunately, is Saturday, and it'd be rain at this point.
Rain?
So it looks like rain next Saturday. There could be a little light snow or rain Wednesday night, Thursday, Friday, but nothing significant. So snow lovers, I think you're running out of time in winter 2018-19 to get the big one. We got a big one last winter. We had a blizzard like January 3rd and 4th, I think.
Very beginning of the year.
Very beginning of the winter. But this year, I just don't see anything. And if we make it through the first 10 days of March, I do think it's an early spring this year. Spring comes just a little bit early.
That's worth celebrating, I think.
It is, and an early summer is even better for shore towns and shore businesses and shore visitors. They love an early summer as well. But we'll take it one season at a time. So we got about 3 weeks, I think, until the start of spring. It's March 20th. And now nor'easter season runs through March. Occasionally, as we talked about in the first edition before the technical difficulties, you get a rear nor'easter in April and May. Then hurricane season begins in June, so we'll always be talking tidal flooding, and we look forward to be talking throughout the year as we hopefully welcome back Scott Evans. The emergency wasn't too much of an emergency, whether it be personal or professional. We'll have him on soon, and a great lineup of guests every Sunday, 7 p.m. at the Irish Pub.
And since we did not have a guest tonight, we will still be presenting an Irish Pub t-shirt to our very own Dan Skeldon.
Hey, well, this baby-sized t-shirt,
Are you surprised?
I'm excited. Actually, of all the t-shirts we presented, you and I have never gotten one, I don't think. So.
I actually got one last week.
Oh, okay. All right, well, I have never got one, so now everyone's gotten one, except perhaps our production team. We'll have to get them involved as well.
And we will be back on next Sunday.
Next Sunday, that'll be the 3rd of March. Guests to be announced. We hope we'll join you then. Hopefully we'll have a freeze-free show and a blurry-free show as well.
He said tidal freezing talk? That was
I like that.
good.
Tidal freezing
that
talk.
That was good.
Yep, good one, Justin Thomas.
Well, thank you for bearing with the technical difficulties, and we'll see you next Sunday. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and all of these videos are on YouTube and our website.
Have a good night, guys.